Okay. Oh, now it's okay. My name is Alex Shani. I'm a consultant and I'm also an expert serving the European Commission in some of their programs. Actually, I have 3 questions covering 3 different areas, so I'm allowed myself to ask all the 3. The first one is about the innovation action, and really what I would like if you can give us an example about what you think is going to be the part of the research and the universities in the innovative action, because I saw at least in some of the papers that it is mentioned that it's not for those to do any research. And again, about the innovation action also, I may assume that you will be looking also to have in those actions some kind of a business plan, something that was not natural in the past. The other question is a totally different area, is about the international collaboration. If you can a bit give us more examples about India, about Russia, and so on. And the third one, it was mentioned about the coaching of the SMEs. Is there going to be a call for coaches to join and to act on this SME action?
Okay. You want to begin to?
I take the international cooperation one.
Yeah, you know. You are the big chief, so you can choose.
Absolutely, that's why I take the microphone first. What I tried to explain this morning with regard to international cooperation is that Horizon 2020 will be completely open to the whole world. And that means that we really welcome in the consortia that making proposals on Horizon 2020 that they involve American, Chinese, Indian researchers. Everyone is welcome. We want indeed to bring these top brains in collaboration with European scientists. So bottom-up approach, openness will be the leitmotif of Horizon 2020. Besides that, we have a number of strategic partners with whom we have signed a dedicated science and technology agreement. India, China, United States, Canada. And with these countries, we would like to do something more in dedicated areas of mutual interests. And I gave this morning the example of rare earth, these precious materials, where we are working with the United States and Japan on a dedicated call for proposals in order there to look for substitutes and to see how recycling can be done much more effective. Or take the example of the poverty-related diseases, HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, where we are sub-Saharan Africa working together. So with some of the key partners, we'll have dedicated strategic activities. But the leitmotif is openness to the whole world. So bring along these partners you have in Korea, China, and other places of the world.
Can you elaborate?
One moment. The
can you elaborate? Do the foreigners able to generate a big number? And can they be funded?
No.
The rules for international cooperation are relatively straightforward. That is, for the industrialized countries, they have to bring along their own funding. And if they're coming from developing countries, we pay. So in other words, South Africa can be 100% funded if they participate in our programs. The same is, of course, the case for Angola, Mozambique. But of course, if China, Russia, or the United States, if they want to be involved, they have to bring their own funding, unless their participation is essential for the project, and then we can finance it. So in other words, if there's an American software house and they are essential for the success of a European project, then we can bring exceptionally the funding to the table from our side. But in principle, they have to bring their own funding.
There were another 2 questions.
Yes, one of them.
No, don't. I hope they remember the questions.
Let me bioremediate your questions here, Alex.
But we have one. We need 2 more. It works. I don't know. I will take coaching, but I could say also a few words regarding innovation action. So on coaching, yes, there will be a call, but it will not be a call implemented by us. It will be a call which will be implemented by EEN in order to select some coaches. but it will not be an open, it will not be a closed club. I mean, it will be the possibility to mention your interest to be a coach. So it's not like a call for proposal in order to be identified and then to be sure that you will be a coach working with some of the SMEs. It's just the idea to make a pool of potential coach and then to offer the access to this pool of coaches to the interested SMEs. So there will be, so it will not be a closed club. So there will be the possibility for everybody which is providing this type of service to participate to this. Now, regarding the innovation action and the role that some university can play, you can take different example. If I take the example of a pilot line in kits, I mean, of course, it will be sometimes implemented in an industrial area, but it may also be tested in the university, of course, for the benefit of some industrial partners. But the university can implement the pilot line at first stage in its own premises. The same apply, of course, for replication or first prototyping and things like this, but this is typically on the innovation part and not on the R&D part. When you are moving to, if I use the same terminology, to a first production test, there it's not anymore in the university perimeter, if I may. It's purely on the industrial level, but you are there very close to the market. I mean, first production is just before massive production, and just where you need some final technological adjustment in order to avoid a very high level of default in the production. So it remains within the innovation, so it's not yet the commercialization stage. But this part, I would say, first production is, I mean, something that normally will never take place in a research organization or university. It's tested already within the premises of a company.
So basically they are like end users.
Yeah, in this case, yes.
They cannot take any part, you know, because sometimes, you know, even in innovation, you would like a university to be like a subcontractor for a certain area.
This is another discussion. I mean, the company can work with the partners they want, but just to answer your question, in the type of projects that we intend to support, I mean, I do not see why a university or research organization cannot participate in the innovation activity, in the innovation actions. I mean, they can do it, but it's not taken for granted. It depends on the area, it depends on how the consortium is made and tailored. It depends on the role of all of them. But theoretically, I know examples, and I mentioned the example of the cats on purpose, knowing that some research organizations indeed are involved directly in the testing in pilot lines and things like this. So it will exist in any case.
Maybe I will use this, one of the questions concerning EN and the coaching, and you already guess what I will ask if we're not part of COSME. And it seems to be that we won't be part of COSME. We will, and we, of course, so we won't, if we won't be part of the regular network of EN. How it will work for us. If there is a H2020 fund passed to the EN system, how we will benefit from that if we're not in the system.
I will check, Marcel.
It's only 2 years. This question I'm asking already 2 years. And you're consistent. You will check. Okay.
I take your point. I promise that I will come back with an answer within the next 10 days. But for the time being, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, normally the way it was foreseen is indeed to use the EN network. Now, I mean, for the associated countries, which are not covered, I mean, we will have to find a solution, but we will find one for sure.
Okay. The question is also relevant for the one platform for the loans and the guarantees under 150,000 and up.
If I may, on this one, I mean, the issue is totally different, because on what we
explain
are
what is the issue,
yeah,
because
I
this
mean,
is a conversation.
What you are mentioning,
us.
no, what you are mentioning regarding the access to loan financing And the position of the EIF you mentioned, and which is very surprising for me, I just would like to say what is exactly the situation. When we have launched the pilot for RSI that I explained this afternoon, indeed there was a problem with the EIF because in the status of the EIF, Israel was not covered. So we made clear with the EIB, which is the mother company of the EIF, because we are the second, we are the father or the mother, but the main stakeholders.
A big family.
It's a big family. It's a common daughter, if you want. We made clear that we will not sign with the EIF if the EIF is not changing its status. And they changed their status in 2012 to ensure that Israel is eligible. So what is true for loans is true also for equity and true for any type of support. As soon as there is an EU contribution that the EIF must implement as an interested entity. So what was said 3 weeks ago is wrong. The EIF can indeed work with an intermediary in the Israel. So there is no discussion on this.
Please.
Okay, you see, you just need the technician to come. It doesn't have to do really anything. Okay. My name is Amir Ampurat. I'm an expert and a consultant regarding technology transfer and collaborative research. And I have two questions. One, of course, is regarding the SME instrument. But I'll start with the second one, which is relating to cross-program proposals. Let's say that I want to propose something that has to do with Earth observation and spatial agriculture. How will that be assessed? Will there be a specific call for such programs? Regarding the SME instrument, and especially the first stage or the first phase, how do you envision the age of the SMEs submitting to it? I mean, conceptual design is normally for very young SMEs with little track record. How old will the SME be, and do you have any ideas of how the proposal will be prepared, what type of background material will need to be presented? Thank you.
Perhaps I take the first question. It's quite important that you look very carefully at the call text definition. So in other words, if we say we are looking for a solution for agriculture by using remote sensing techniques to help monitoring crop development, something like that, then of course it's clear that you make your proposal according to the lines you just indicated. If we are, so I mean you look very closely at the call text and the topic, because what happens very often that people try to cramp into a call text a topic which is not suitable, and then you're not going to make it. We are at the moment foreseeing between a number of topics kind of a joint call. If I take blue growth is a nice example, there we have the water angle, the climate angle, the environment angle, the fisheries angle, so there we have a kind of a common area where we have this cross-cutting calls as you're referring to, but you still, even under that, you have to read very carefully, does that fit indeed the research I intend to do? And that is going to be very, very important, because one thing is clear, there is going to be enormous oversubscription. We are going to be flooded with proposals, because a lot of countries have cut at national level their science budgets, so it's going to be fierce competition. So the more you are focused, the more you are targeted, the better it is.
So I take the second.
Easy one.
Yeah. Indeed. There is no one size fits all regarding the age, because we can cover both two different cases. The one you are in fact mentioning in your question, so very young SME, because mainly the business development of the SME is based on the particular concepts they would like to defend and to develop. And in this case, I mean, we are focusing early stage SME, so they are eligible. But you may have a more mature SME, which may be young, which may be older, which may be bigger, which has nevertheless a new idea in order to change its strategy or to expand on another market, so therefore they are also eligible. So in both cases, you may have in front of you a potential fast-growing SME. So there is no minimum age. It may be a very young one, it may be an older one.
You know, you know, it is like in the RC, when we say started, we can have a starter grantee, which is 77, if he has received his PhD at the age of 69. So age and competence are not always linked together. So, I would like maybe to clarify the definition of SMEs, because you put the three criteria, that means the two, but also the SME has to be autonomous. And mainly the problem is not about those numbers, it is about the autonomy, and REA with the validation there may sometimes takes 8 months to realize if it's an SME or not through the calculation of the mother company and so on. What it means autonomous, that this company is not linked to an industrial group that will create these numbers bigger and so on. So you need an autonomous company to be decided to be an SME. If there is a small company which is linked to, which is a sister or a daughter company of IAI, it won't be an SME. So this is, and the definition is awful. If it's a company which is belonging to a regional council which has more than 2,000 inhabitants, it's not an SME. But is in this regional council, we have only 1,800 inhabitants, it is an SME. So there is a booklet of 50 pages to explain what are the regulations. So please call upon us, we try to help you. This morning we had one of our companies, I don't know if they are still here, that they take some 8 months. I had to call and to call him and to call REA and so on. We need to simplify a little bit this kind of definition of SME, because the 3 rules is okay, but the autonomous, it's a nightmare. Okay, sorry to negotiate here, but you know, this is my my instinct and my nature.
If I may, on this, one remark and one information. Let's start by the information. I mean, we are fully aware that it's quite difficult, and there will be, I'd say there will be, because it remains to be slightly fine-tuned, but already today you have in line a tool which has been developed by the services of the Commission in order for a potential submission here to verify itself if it is fitting with the definition of an SME. So you have not to read the 18 pages, you can do it electronically, and it will give you a certain level of assurance that indeed you are an SME. It will avoid the time you mentioned for the assessment by REA. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I understand your point on the fact that it is complex definition, but the definition is also there in order to avoid that, and you did it, you say it, to avoid that especially some big company are creating specific body in order to benefit from this type of support. Things that happened several times in the past. So the very particular case you mentioned on the regional government is indeed a complexification within the system, but for the rest, the fact that we have to take into account mother company, but also daughter company. Of course. The autonomy is in fact, it's upstream and downstream. has a certain rationale. The fact that we have to simplify the access to the information regarding are you or not an SME is a key thing, that we are trying to do it via this tool. But this kind of verification nevertheless must take place. One thing, and I will stop on this, that we will nevertheless do for instruments where the fact to be an SME will not provide you a particular advantage, is that we will start by a declaration on principle. The verification will not take place before. But for instruments where the fact that you are an SME is an eligible condition, we will do it in due time, but not necessarily in order to complicate or increase the time for the assessment of the proposal or the time to grant.
I think, as Jean-David said, this is a symbol of what I said of the trust-based approach. We start believing a declaration that a company fulfills the criteria of an SME, and then it can immediately be sent in the application, we do the evaluation, and we hope that later it's confirmed. And again, as Jean-David said, we do want to support the real individual SMEs who do not have a big father or a big mother who is the majority shareholder. We want really that these independent SMEs, very often spin-offs of universities, that they are the ones who can benefit from the system, and that's not an SME of which 99% of the shares are with a big group, because they have then their father or mother who takes care of them. We want to help the small ones, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of them in your country and in the rest of Europe, and it's these ones who we would like to help.
Robertian, thank you. I understand the rationale, but still there is a problem of definition. When you look at what is a financial holding, it's okay, an industrial holding, it's not okay. And sometimes we don't know if it's a financial holding or an industrial holding. And the VC, 20% it's okay, but 51% is not okay. This kind, because not always we understand, because we have created this 10 last years, a lot of concept of financial concept that I don't know, maybe we need some rationalization in the text of this leaflet in order to understand, because we introduced now the angels. The angels are financial holding or industrial holding and so on. I just raise the issue. I don't ask to have an answer.
Certainly in this self-assessment tool, which Jean-David mentioned, I mean, this is a very simple tool you can go into and you just tick a couple of boxes and then you see where you are. So it's not that complex, and I think it would be a pity, Marcel, because you give the impression that it is overcomplicated. We want to get these small SMEs on board. Okay. And I don't want people to leave this room by saying, oh my God, it's too complex, it's too difficult. So we should make an effort to really get them on board, and we've done a lot in order to make the system much more accessible, and this declaration of honor, I think, is one tool to allow them a very quick treatment of their proposals.
About eligibility, Jean-David, you give me an idea. There is something I have to say later on about eligibility, but...
okay, my name is Ofer Harpak. I'm an entrepreneur. My question is regarding SME.
I should say it's one of the older practitioners. I think you were present in FP5 and maybe also in FP4.
Yes. Anyhow, my question is, can SME apply directly to phase 2 and skip phase 1? Is it possible?
Yeah. So is yes.
Yeah. I should say that on this issue we receive a different message from Brussels.
But Marcel, there's only one person who's in charge of SME, so that is Jean-David. Okay. And if Jean-David says yes, it is yes.
No, because I had some because I'm quite linked to Jean-David and received message.
Marcel, you talk to too many people in Brussels. You only talk to the right ones.
Okay. No, my colleagues are also speaking with other people. I have the monopoly of Jean-David, so I had to convince my colleague at home that maybe they are wrong. Thank you, Roberт-Jan.
My name is Aaron Stern. I'm with a consultant, and I would like to ask a simple question. First submission is in March. Second submission is in June. When will the Commission give the results of the first submission, first stage submission? Thank you.
You mean on the SME instrument, huh? I suppose.
Yeah.
This is for the
SME instrument.
Phase 1. So in fact, the first cutoff date is not in March. The first cutoff date is in June. Oh, collaborative. I don't know.
But you don't need
It's 8 months, huh?
It's very simple. The time to grant is 8 months. That means that 5 months are taken, indeed, 3 months for publishing the calls for proposals, 3 months. Then there's another, say, 2 months for the whole evaluation of proposals. And people get then, that means within something like 5 months after the publication of the call, after the deadline of the call, they get to the results of the evaluation process. And that leaves us then 3 months to do the contract negotiations, whereby we are looking into a complete new mechanism to have contract negotiations to do even quicker than the 3 months which are at the moment available.
In double stage case, how it will be done?
What do you mean?
Because sometimes in else you have a double.
In a two-step procedure. Yes. Well, I mean, you are making gestures that. Is that the question, or is it? That is within 2 months after the deadline of the proposals and the evaluation taking place. So it's extremely rapid to allow you to quickly go to the second phase.
I have a question.
Present yourself before
My name is Bar-Aon from Israel Oceanographic and Ethnological Research. I've been participating in all the calls since FP4. I have 2 questions. In the Blue Growth program, you didn't mention at all participation for the Mediterranean. It was indicated only the Atlantic. Did I misunderstand that it's not included the Mediterranean? That's the first question. The second question regards the eligibility. It was said it's 70%. Does it cover also the equipment or only for the fees for the personnel? Thank
you. Well, what you see is in a number of the aspects of the call on the Blue Growth, there will be participation from people, national marine institutes and universities and oceanographers like yourself, from around the Mediterranean and from any of the sea basins or oceans or indeed inland waterways which are covered. So there's certainly no geographical exclusion, quite the opposite. I think what you will see in the presentation of the calls is there are 2 or 3 calls which specifically support the first phase, if you like, of a new approach to ocean exploration. Which has been set out in the Galway Statement and the agreement between the European Union, the United States and Canada to begin with the North Atlantic in terms of observation and mapping and the development of different multifunctional platforms, including where appropriate infrastructure which would fit into other aspects of the programme, such as the first pillar. And what that will do is it means that is ready to roll, if you like, that's ready to actually put its feet into the water at this point in time. And the idea is to start at this point in the program with what is ready, and then as we develop the collaboration between the different colleagues who are dealing with marine and oceanographic institutes in the Mediterranean region under the Greek presidency, which we have now, where there'll be an event, I think, in March or April, and then under the Italian presidency of the Eurasian event, which I think is the 9th of October. We're working carefully together with them to build on the lessons that have been learned in building a research alliance across the Atlantic, and do the same thing then within the Mediterranean and perhaps with other sea basins, for example, the Black Sea subsequently. Now that is the second point. The third point I would make is that in a different context, in the context of the Euromed cooperation, there is indeed a partnership arrangement between different member states around the Mediterranean in which cooperation, of course, could be developed. So it's a phasing process. It doesn't mean that we're going to spend our whole 7 years dealing with the Atlantic. Quite the opposite. And we've been in very close discussions with our colleagues in some member states to prepare the ground. And indeed, if we can, to get people to work on the Atlantic phase to accelerate the taking forward of work in the Mediterranean phase. As far as I understand your question about the eligible costs, that would refer to close to market actions where it's a 70% eligible cost financing. But in collaborative programs, normally speaking, it would be 100%.
In any case, non-profit organization or government organization like yours will have a coverage of 100% and not 70 in the innovation projects. So 70 is for the 70 plus 25. It is for the SMEs themselves or big companies doing innovation project. And
it's Marcel. It's
70 plus 25.
No, it's very simple.
No.
The rule is very simple.
No.
If you do research,
It's not.
you get 100% plus an overhead of 25%. If you do a combined research and innovation project, you get 100% direct, 25% indirect costs. If you are doing an innovation project and you're a private entity, you get 70% direct, 25% overhead. If you are a non-profit organization and you do innovation activities, you get 100% direct and 25% indirect. I understand from you that you are a non-profit organization. So that means that if you are going to do either a research project or a research and innovation project or an innovation project, you always get the same amount of money, 100% direct, 25% indirect. All right?
Okay. Other, it will be the last one because,
Okay.
Okay, the two last one, the three last one, it's finished.
Actually, I've got three, but it needs
No, try to put it
I'll
in
make
one.
It short. First, disruptive in the SME instrument. What is the definition? I know that Facebook and WhatsApp, whatever is disruptive, but when in advance, 10 years ago, you wouldn't know that. So what disruptive? Because any SME thinks it's disruptive. If SMEs are involved in research and innovation. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so regarding disruptive, the word is only used for the ICT dimension in LEIT. And because it's not the first time that we have the question, what we will do is that on the frequently asked question of the website, all the various sectors which are providing support within the SM instrument will give an example of what the type of project which are looking for. So I will not give you now the definition. It will be done in the very next months or months and a half, where for all the various topics which are open on the bottom-up approach by the various societal challenge or the various part of the LEIT, we will provide some concrete example of the type of project which are expected. So to be clear on what will be covered by the disruptive ICT technologies. Now, when you say what happens if an SME is involved in research and innovation, a project as such will be allocated as either a research project or an innovation project. So, by definition, if you are an SME, in any case, as Robert-Jan said, you already know what is the percentage of support. So it will change more or less nothing at all. So you have the possibility to be involved in both. The only case where there will be a very particular definition, the change will be in particular on the SM instrument, potentially on the societal challenge on health, as I told you, where the support may be up to 100% and not 70%. But this will be clearly mentioned in all of the calls.
This is a question from the outside, or like auctions? Regarding
Palestinian Authority legal body participant in the various schemes. As Robert-Jan said, I mean, this is international cooperation approach that will apply. So normally, as they will not be considered as industrialized country, they will benefit from support.
That's it?
Like.
The next one?
My name's David Nordell. I'm a technology entrepreneur, and I've been involved in EU activities since FP4 and ever since. I'm interested in revisiting the SME financial instruments issue. Two questions. One, to what extent is European funding going to duplicate national and regional funding programs that exist, for example, in the UK and Germany? And secondly, being involved as an entrepreneur, I see also the response of the financial industry, including VCs and angels and so on, to what's happening in the SME market. And there are two major problems that I don't think that the SME funding framework is addressing at all. One is that there's actually a shortage of good fundable projects. There are less projects available for VC finance than there's money available for them. Second is the lack of liquidity platforms for secondary trading of existing investments in SMEs. This is something that hardly exists at all. I've just been 2 months ago to the launch of the first program for liquidity exchange of investments in SMEs in London. And this is something that the EU either needs to address or to encourage or be involved in order to help the funding.
Okay. Regarding your first point, it's indeed a very important point, because what we should avoid, among others, negative collateral effects, is indeed to have a crowding out effect of our support. So in reality, what we are doing is that when the interested entity with whom we are working as far as financial instruments are concerned is assessing the proposal received, one of the criteria to assess a proposal that may come from a financial intermediary is to verify that indeed what the financial intermediary is proposing is not a replication of something existing on the territory on which he proposed to do something, and is, if it is an existing scheme, indeed an expansion in size or in scope and not the pure duplication of what exists. In this case, the proposal is not retained, and we have, I will not blame and give names, but we had faced this kind of situation within the RSI pilot, where in fact the project as such was perfect, but it was purely a replication of an existing scheme in one of the member states, so the project has been refused. So it is indeed taken fully into account. So it's a very important point, and thank you for mentioning this. So it's not the case that what we are supporting, you mentioned Germany, or you mentioned France or UK, we are not replicating things in scheme existing in this country. We are either expanding the scheme in scope and in size or in level of risk taken, or we are supporting new schemes. The second point that you mentioned is indeed a real problem. I mean, I'm focusing on the lack of liquidity. But it's not really a lack of liquidity, because the fund, I mean, yes, it's a problem of liquidity, but it's not a problem of availability of funds. The fund exists. I mean, if you look at the amount of money that you can find, for example, in life insurance schemes, that you can find in pension funds, this kind of fund exists. The question is how to make them attracted to invest in a riskier area, especially to invest in the support of SMEs. Because what they are looking for is a quick return. So it's a really a policy question, and something that we have in mind to tell you the truth. I mean, we are trying to find some incentive, and for example, we have tried to introduce in the revised risk finance guidelines of the state aids in Europe some incentive in order to provide non-pari passu system in very particular case to attract this kind of investors to come back on this kind of asset class. But it remains, I agree with you, an important challenge, and it's something, of course, on which we should do more.
The last one, no, sorry. We have to.
My name is David Jacob. I'm from SME. Actually, we'll be the first time involvement type of company. My question is is there any tool developed by you to write to build a business plan, something like that will be very helpful for SME who are first time like us. Thank you.
So Marcel will not like what I will say.
You see, at the end, I won't be happy, as John asked.
No, one of the tools we are providing, but I promise that I will come back with an answer in the next 10 days. One of the tools which is provided is indeed the EN network, which is there normally to provide this kind of support. The national contact point, Marcel, are supposed also to provide this kind of support, even if we are not necessarily funding it, but it's one part of their duty, and I know that you are already doing it in a certain way. So it exists, but it's not a direct funding, so we have not, for example, a voucher scheme that exists for this type of things. The idea that we have, that you have behind the phase one of the SME instrument is a bit this one, but nevertheless, you may be able to come first with a first draft of your business plan. So the idea of the coaching, the idea of the role that the EN network or that NCP can play is in the right line of what you say.
Thank you. That was the last question. I'm sorry for the one who wanted to ask another one, but just to maybe, Jean-David, you challenge us about, I won't like the question, but you were in our presentation. You are very, very dedicated because it's 3 times in 2 weeks that I see you. And we have a small scheme that can help you. We hope that we will be able to develop it more substantially in ISERD to help you to apprehend the new, this reality and to help you to go on. And we, of course, in ISERD are at your not only disposal but service to, I would say, to overcome your reluctancy of the European, vis-a-vis the European bureaucracy. It's not so, you know, it's like if any, I would say, Netherlands SME will come to the chief scientist, and the Israeli chief scientist, and try to follow and to fill the paper, he will have a lot of problems and say, oh, it's even Europe is easier than the system in Israel. The problem is that we don't know the system. And one of the role of ISERD as a representative to the committees and also NCP is to overcome this kind of, I would say, wrath of reluctancy, and to try to show you that if in Europe they did it, or if others did it in Israel, you are able to do it. I used to say...
Marcel, I would go a step further. If this gentleman here for the 3rd time is motivated, you should say as a service organization, I will make sure that you get your first project within the 1st year of Horizon 2020.
Okay, I will come to your office. Roberт-Yaan, in 6 months, and when we will have the evaluation, I am in your office to try to have this possible. So it's both on you, on us. Okay, I would like, there is an issue we didn't speak today, and it is who is eligible, because the main issues we had in the the last 6 months and so on. I will, all organizations which are registered in the pre-June 67 lines, we don't say borders, we say lines, are entitled to receive grants if they don't use these grants outside of those lines. In terms, and we are going to find also a solution for the RSFF, for the loans that we will have procedure. It's easier to work there because it's not huge, it's more, I would say, case by case issues to find a solution that also Israeli entities which are registered in the pre-June line, pre-June 67 line, we in Hebrew call it the green line. It doesn't mean that we have a red line and that we have a yellow line, but the green line will be able to receive loans if they can prove that they don't use these loans outside of the green line. That will be, and we are trying to discuss this issue, how to resolve this problem. And in terms of eligibility, everyone who knows this rule and will click in the computer that is aware about this eligibility criteria will be okay. And as you said, for SMEs, it's not at the beginning that you will do the validation, but it will be maybe at the end, and maybe not at all if things seems to be okay. So that's in a short nutshell the way that we have resolved technically the problem we had, and we have signed we have initialed the agreement in this line. Thank you. Professor Arnon, you said something at the 2 years ago, saying that you are optimistic, as we hear. What is your conclusion and what we should do now?
Well, first of all, I'm very pleased to be here. I apologize for not being here in the morning, but there was a very important meeting at the Science and Technology Committee at the Knesset, in which I had to participate. So when Marcel offered me the opportunity of coming, and at the end, I accepted it. I'm extremely pleased with the fact that Israel finally joined the 2020, the Horizon 2020 project, because I think that this is extremely important for everybody that is dealing with science and technology in this country. I am the president of the Israel Academy of Sciences, and therefore I represent here the academic community that participates in the EU programs, framework programs. But I have been involved in this activity for quite some time. It has been, I think, 17 years since Israel has joined the European Union programs. In the middle of the fourth framework program, I personally participated as a partner in a consortium in the 5th program and as a coordinator in the 6th program, and so I'm aware of the both opportunities and problematics of of working with the EU. But I think that it is one of the most important channels that we have here. I've also been involved because I was a member of EURA, which is the European Union Research Advisory Board. And this was at a time when we recommended, and the recommendation was accepted, to establish the ERC. And I think that the availability of the ERC and of the ERC grants offered great opportunities for both advanced and starting research-oriented participants, and it has been a very important avenue for Israeli scientists to participate, both young and more advanced. And from this point of view, the Horizon 2020 program will be extremely important for us here. I have heard here that most of the questions related to the SMEs, so either it's that the particular people that are present here at this stage of the day are more interested in this aspect, or that indeed the program as such is very important for the industry and for the Israeli industry in particular. So I'm very pleased that we are part of the Horizon 2020 in order to advance the Israeli science and technology industry. Both young companies and more established companies, but small companies or SMEs that need support of an organization like the European Union. So all I have to add is that I'm very pleased that we are on the road, and I would like to express my appreciation and thanks to the DG and to all the important people that came here in order to help us really board this very large and heavy ship for the next 7 years. And also I would like to thank Mrsel for being so active and in a non-relenting way to make sure that Israel is a full partner in this program, and I hope that it will be a great success both for Europe and for Israel as part of this program. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the nice words. Everything get to her hand. I would like once again to thank everyone. I take the whole day to thank everyone, so I won't come back on names. But I would like to thank more particularly the one who remain in the room, not because they are part of ISERD or part of the panel. So I propose to applaud the one who remains. Thank you very much. And now we have to see the projects, not only the words.